A woman buried alive desperately banged on her coffin for 11 days, hoping someone would hear her. After being pronounced dead at the hospital, her family gave her a proper funeral. Days later, they were alerted to banging and muffled screaming, causing them to take the woman out of her grave. After doctors pronounced a woman dead at a Brazilian hospital, her family gave her a simple funeral. 11 days later, they were surprised to hear that the woman might not have been dead after all. Rosângela Almeida dos Santos was 37 years old when her family took her to the hospital for extreme fatigue. She suffered 2 cardiac arrests before being pronounced dead due to septic shock. Before her apparent death, dos Santos had always been sickly. She suffered fainting spells during her childhood and took anticonvulsant medicines through the years. Those who frequented the area reported hearing muffled screams during the night. Mysterious things happened around the tomb. After the wake, dos Santos was buried in a wooden coffin inside a concrete tomb. Things seemed normal until suddenly people heard strange noises from the tomb. It was a scene straight out of a Hollywood horror movie. Those who frequented the area reported hearing muffled screams during the night. A witness, Natalina Silva, shared, "When I got there right in front of the tomb, I heard banging from inside it. I thought the kids who played around the cemetery were playing a joke on me. Then I heard her groan twice, and after those 2 groans, she stopped. After witnesses insisted something was happening, the woman's family decided to remove the coffin from the tomb. When they did, what they discovered stunned them. Dos Santos was no longer in the position they put her in. They found injuries that weren't there when they buried her, and she was covered in blood. Upon further observing the coffin's interior, they saw the hammered nails around it were loose and Dos Santos' hands were injured. Like she had been trying to get out, her mom said. For 11 days, Dos Santos tried screaming, scratching, and pushing herself out. Unfortunately, by the time she was discovered, it was too late. The woman's real cause of death was being buried alive. Dos Santos had died from being buried alive. The woman lay lifeless inside the coffin but was still warm to touch. People realized they were only hours short of saving her. It was impossible she died 11 days prior when she was first buried because of her warm body. Hundreds of witnesses flocked to the cemetery to witness what had happened. People touched her body and saw that the woman was still warm. Dos Santos' sister, Isamara Almeida, said that while they didn't want to accuse the doctors of malpractice, it was impossible that a person buried for 11 days remained warm. Dos Santos' family had to bury her once more after the whole ordeal. It was a painful situation they never thought they'd have to go through again. After everything that happened, a spokesperson for the hospital she was in said they'd provide all necessary information requested by authorities to help investigate the situation. No word was given by the doctor, who filled out the woman's medical files and death certificate. The town's police chief said they'd open up an investigation into the incident. Other than using all evidence available, they also took statements from the family and witnesses to support the case.